Hi, and welcome to the Unstuck edit. My name is Gail Chisholm, and it's great to be here with you today. Even though it is cold and rainy and it is June. God, I love that. I wanted to talk today about motivation and what to do on the days where you are feeling that what is the point, or you've lost sight of your purpose, or you're feeling overwhelmed, or your body just feels really tired and achy, and like you just cannot be arsed, basically. And why am I talking about that is because, well, it's now Thursday, and normally I record these on a Monday or a Tuesday. And it's not that I've not had the opportunity to, but my motivation has been waning a little bit this week. Partly because being an entrepreneur and working for yourself and trying to find your customers and people who resonate with you and want to work with you is harder than a lot of the influencers online would maybe have you believe. But also, you know, I'm going to be 50 this year. My body has been through a lot in the last seven years. And so I'm post-menopausal, and having no estrogen in my body means that physically I can feel really tired. I can, the bone ache at the moment is the thing that is bothering me. And, you know, when your body is feeling just a little bit, a bit tired, you know, it can permeate into other things. And then weirdly, the fact that the weather is mirroring this mood has really compounded the effect for me. And so I thought this would be a really good opportunity to chat to you about, well, what do you do when your motivation feels like it's in the toilet? And maybe the first thing to understand might be like, why is there a reason why your motivation might not be there so much? Well, the first thing for me, so I'm a human design practitioner, advocate, curious human design person. And one of the things that I know is that, so in the human design, this is like your energetic blueprint for how you personally are built. And a couple of things from my own personal perspective. So understanding this helps me rationalize why I might be feeling the way I am, or allows me to be curious through a particular lens. Now, the first thing is I'm a projector, which means that I don't have my throat isn't connected to any of the motors, and like the motors are the things that give people access to constant energy on the things that light them up. I don't have that. So as a projector, how I am designed and built energetically is quite different to 80% of the population. And as a projector, rest actually becomes a critical component of my day-to-day. So if you were to liken it to training for any sort of physical event, or if you're like a runner, for example, is actually the rest days are really important to the success of what it is you're trying to achieve. And I suppose that's right for humans generally, but it's even more relevant if you are a projector. And, you know, since my going through breast cancer treatment and divorce and menopause and changing career and learning all about human design, I am, as you might imagine, an advocate for it. And what I'm trying to do now, or I've got the opportunity to, is live more in alignment with my design. So the first thing is I understand that being a projector means that I don't have endless energy. So that could be a reason why on a particular day I'm feeling a bit meh. The second bit is in the human design chart, there's an energy center called the ego, or the will center. And this is really where the center of motivation exists, and also then where some of like your abilities to form regular habits. Now, in human design terms, my will center is open or undefined, which means I do not have constant access to the energy of that center, and it's not fixed and defined. Whereas people who have it as a defined center, they have constant access to the energy or the themes of that center, generally speaking, willpower, motivation. So the fact that I have these two factors through a human design lens means that I am more, I'm going to use the word more prone, but that's maybe not the right, that sounds like I don't have autonomy when I do, but what it means is that my energy is much more likely to be fluctuating, and it is feasible that I don't have motivation for something because I don't have the energy to be able to like be like, right, come on. So that may be something that resonates with you. So if you're finding that you are feeling a bit like your motivation's up and down, is have a look at your human design chart. Go and get, like, there's loads of free resources, like, so just to get basic information about that and figure out your energetic blueprint. That could really give you an eye-opener to understanding why you might have energy or not on certain days. Now, that's not to say, so with my open will center, what I can do is, so I can like borrow that energy from people. So if I'm around people who have that defined center, I can borrow their energy. That helps kind of like move me along. There's also a way, because the planets transit, so everybody will have access to that center at certain points when the planets and things are in a particular alignment. The other layer to this as well is my root center is open, and it is completely open. And this is a big invitation for me to tune in each day to what I'm feeling called to, rather than necessarily some fixed routines. And it is a massive invitation to listen and tune into my body, because some days my body is saying, you could really do with an extra 30 minutes rest or sleep this morning, girl, punt that alarm on. So when you understand your energetic blueprint, it allows you to ask better questions of yourself, to understand the reasons why you might be lacking motivation or lacking energy. So that's your own internal energetic blueprint. And then if we look externally, there's a whole planetary alignment and things going on, and like energetics in the ether that can have influences and impacts on individuals. Now, we've just come out of a full moon. I tend to feel the new moons more than the full moons, but this one I have felt a little bit. Now, I mean, that was last Saturday, so the ripples of that were probably only into the beginning of the week. But I am really impacted by I'm going to say the weather, but what I really mean is like grey skies, because I don't mind it when it's cold, but I find the greyness, it really plays on my energy levels. So there's that's also going around. So I'm like, okay, I understand there's all these different factors or inputs and data. What do I do with it? Now, old me, so rewind, like, let's go back to my corporate world. I mean, I had to go to work every day unless I wanted to pull a sickie, but that was not me. And that's probably something in the conditioning where I'm like always wanting to be the good girl. And so there's no way I'd just pull a sickie. Even now I can feel that in my body, like tensing up, going, oh no, you just don't pull sickies, girl. That's like telling lies. And like, what if you get found out and blah, 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 blah. That's just like conditioning from how my youth coming up. But in the corporate world, because like I was a projector in a generator world, but I didn't know that at the time, is I forced myself a lot to, go in, to hustle, to grind. I worked the hours. I was caught in that kind of cycle and rhythm that I was sort of talking a bit about. I think I was talking about last week around some of like the inner critic and so on. But it was just like now, like, this might seem a controversial opinion, but, getting breast cancer, my body was trying to tell me something. And I think that really my body had probably been trying to tell me something for a wee while, and I just really wasn't listening. And actually, I think I was really quite burnt out. And on reflection, when I look at how I showed up going through chemo, I could have taken a more balanced approach. And I think that the legacy of that kind of burnout and the exhaustion did hang over for a few years after. But it's now what I try and do is like tune into the energy of what's happening, and I will gift myself, or I will give myself permission if I know that like I've tuned into like my root center, to know that like I've just really, my body's calling for an extra 10 minutes rest, or maybe it's calling for me to go and take a little disco nap in the afternoon, is I will do it. And it's amazing how when I listen and say, right, okay, and I'll set an alarm going, right, you've got 20 minutes to just do nothing, rest, sleep, whatever you want, body, how it doesn't necessarily even need that time, and it just comes back round and is like, ta-da, we're awake now and I'm ready to go. The other thing that I will do around this sort of, I suppose, being curious around what's going on. So I've got this energetic blueprint that gives me some data. But the other thing is to understand like what's really going on in my mind, like where am I at mentally. And this year, more than in fact any others, last year I did the Donna Ashford sort of daily journal prompts thing. And I bought that again this year, but I've been very in and out of using that. But what I have actually committed to this year, and again, this goes back to my open will center, sometimes forming habits can be really tricky for me. And so I'll maybe have a habit for a period of time and then I just like lose the motivation to keep going. But what I have been doing this year is actually an evening journal of at least a page. And that's an opportunity for me to go through, like to shift my my mindset a bit, like reflect on the day. What were my wins of the day? What went really well? What are the things that maybe I need to get off my chest? Sometimes that's just a little ranty bit that goes on. Also getting stuff out my head of like, what am I looking to do tomorrow or the next, or what's coming up? What are the things that need to be doing? Irrespective of all the sort of free format journaling that I will do, I finish off with some affirmations to remind myself of certain things. And these are like reprogramming my brain. And, when you write the affirmation out, there's an invitation to lean into what it's saying so you really can start believing it. One of my affirmations is actually something from Louise Hay. I was listening to her audiobook and she was writing down, it's I love life and life loves me. So it's, this sort of reciprocal energy, but a reminder of the beauty of life, and that no matter what crap may be going on, like life still loves you. There's an opportunity there, and just a reminder that this too shall pass is probably the other one. And then I sort of feed in some other ones, but one of the ones that has been a regular this half of the year, in particular because of me, really trying to, or putting the energy and the effort into self-employment, is that everything is always working out for me. Because when I have worked for myself before, when I had a shop for a while, is you learn a lot about yourself, and often as well you're working by yourself. You don't have like colleagues to sit and just go and have some banter with, or to sound off, or to say I'm really struggling today, or I feel this task is really difficult, or I'm really scared about doing this, or I'm worried that such and such isn't going to be a success. When you don't have that kind of person or people to talk to, you are that person. And so journaling and writing it out and affirming to yourself certain things will help you on the weeks or the days where like your motivation, or you're feeling that, like me this week, like maybe like, what's the point? The point is that everything is working out for me, and that, and I do believe that. Some days it's like more apparent than others, but it's that kind of, when you're able to sit in that higher vibe of things and thinking, well, maybe, what is feeling a bit down and tired and exhausted, an opportunity. It's an opportunity to slow down, to take my time, to keep showing up, keep put one foot in front of the other, because everything will be okay. Everything will work out. And that's not to say it's not, I'm not like spiritually bypassing here. It's creating a belief system. So this is reprogramming some of my beliefs. Like, I might be sitting out there and thinking, So I follow lots of people on various socials and different things, and I think, oh, they're really successful, and it's easy sometimes to slip into the, oh, well, that's not going to be me, is it? And it's like, well, that might not be exactly me because that's their dream, but what is my dream, and what steps and actions can I take to move towards that? And part of that is the belief system that I hold internally to help me navigate the difficult days. Because, today, this week's bit felt more difficult. Like, I've felt tired and exhausted, and some of that is physical stuff, that's side effects of medication, that's side effects of menopause, of no estrogen, of feeling like, some days I worry that cancer's going to come back, because that's a natural thing. It's, because it's not been, I don't have a confirmation that there's nothing in my body. So I live with that every day. And some days it's easier than others to turn that into positive action. And what I have become much better at is gifting myself grace around when some of these things come up. And again, that's not allowing just blithely pushing on, because sometimes when we take actions when we're not really feeling it, you have to repeat the work because the quality of your work is shit. So it's about understanding, why am I feeling like this, and what can I do, and what small steps can I do that keeps me showing up for myself and telling myself that I am worth keeping going. I'm worth following this dream of what I have, and I'm worth what, the number that's sitting in my business plan. And some days that's really exciting, and then that kind of buzzy, exciting energy that comes from it. And some days it feels scary, it brings up lots of stuff, or recognise conditioning that's sitting underneath it. And maybe what I need to do on that particular day that's going to move me forward is to sit with the belief or the inner critic narrative or whatever's coming up and work through it. And, that might be giving myself some self-reiki or connection to the spirit guides, or what I have been doing again is getting back with my tarot cards to be curious. Also to talk to some people. If you know me, I enjoy a voice note, which turns into like a mini podcast. And there's there's lots of stuff going on. But I am showing up today, no makeup on, sitting in my netball sweatshirt. But I promised myself this year that I was going to do this. And sometimes that means showing up however I am on that particular day, and recognising, because I did sit and think I could sack doing this, but that's not me walking the walk, right? And for anybody who wants to come and work with me, it's, I recognise that, and I can witness that, and I'll hold space for people who are feeling like that. And we will get curious around, what is the data that's telling us? Why are we in this position? Why are we feeling like this today? What are the physical things? What's the mental stuff? What's in the filing cabinet of your conditioned beliefs? What happened this week? What's the energetics going on? What's your own energetic blueprint? So your human design. And we figure it out. And then it's all about taking your aligned actions that are going on with that are aligned with whatever is going on for you at that moment in time. And if that means the pace is a little slower, and then you do that, because you're still showing up for yourself. Because the easy thing is to just give up and stop. And we're not here for that. Certainly not this week. And so this has been me giving myself a pep talk on motivation and keeping going and doing the thing, and that, lean on the beliefs. I was watching something. What was I watching? Oh, do you know what, random? It was like the Bake Off the Professionals, and one of the teams had an absolute nightmare. And one of the judges, after they'd said some stuff, and he said, And you could tell that the teams were devastated. You know, they're professionals, they work in this field. But generally speaking, Strange Kitchen and timing for these competitions always seems to throw people off. But he said to them, some days are for learning. And I just thought to myself, that's so true. You know, because it's like these days where we feel devastated or stuff hasn't gone our way, or we're feeling a bit like confused about what we should be doing, or wondering whether or not we should keep going. Maybe that is a day of learning, and there's something to be learned in that day, in that feeling. If you get curious enough and you look at all the data, what are you learning? And even if you've sat in bed and just, you know, listened to something, or even just sat with your thoughts or journaled or meditated or rested because that's what you needed, there was a learning opportunity in that moment. And then the trick is to do different, or to take the learning and do something different. Do something with the information, and don't give up. I have faith in you. This is me telling me that I have faith in me. We're all worthy of our dreams. Sometimes we have good weeks and we have bad weeks when we work towards that, but we can do it. We can 100% do it. Thank you for being here today and for listening to my own little pep talk here. I would love to hear if anything has resonated with you, or whether you just enjoyed someone showing up like feeling like they're on the edge today, and just being authentic and real, because I'm a human being and I've got, you know, shit going on in my body, in my brain, in my emotions. I'm looking forward to, I'm doing a Kundalini teacher training course at the moment, and one of the things that I do lean on is I go back onto my mat on days like this. And sometimes that's for a full practice and it might be physically challenging. And sometimes it's to sit in stillness with maybe a mantra or a breath work or something to just help release stuck energy. I might not be able to explain what that stuck energy is, and to just sit with myself and process through. I'd love to hear what your tools are. Like, what do you do on days where you're feeling a bit meh? Or what data, what reasons, why do you know why on these days that you feel like that? Are you susceptible to moon cycles, for example? And then I'd love to hear maybe what resonated around what, I think it's Benoit is the guy on Bake Off the Professionals. Is today a learning day for you? And if so, what have you learned? Until the next time, I'll speak to you all soon.